Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another very cool Jurassic Park Velociraptor figure. This time though, you might look at this and think, well, that's a really cool Kenner Raptor. It is the Kenner Velociraptor Sculpt. However, this is actually a Hasbro release. This was part of the Jurassic Park Dinosaurs line. It is the Series 1 Velociraptor from that line, again, from Hasbro. So basically, it is the Kenner Sculpt, but it was brought back for the Jurassic Park Dinosaurs line. And in that line, they actually had released a, good healthy dose of Kenner figures that were originally sculpted during the Kenner days, but before they transitioned to Hasbro. And you can see again that this is a pretty cool looking version. Definitely a nice looking repaint for sure. So as always, let's jump to a closer look at it and we'll check it out from there. So as I had already mentioned, the sculpt is definitely the same as the older Kenner Velociraptors. There's no difference at all between the sculpt of this one and the original Velociraptor that I'm aware of. It's basically just a straight up repaint. The figure did originally come with capture gear as well. Unfortunately, most of the capture gear that I ever had has been lost over time, which, something I'll have to try to work on getting as time goes on, but I do not have the capture gear for the Raptor. But of course, the dinosaur itself is always the more important area, as far as a Kenner Jurassic Park, Hasbro Jurassic Park, it doesn't matter, even Mattel Jurassic Park release, the dinosaur is usually the most important part, at least as far as I'm concerned. So as far as the coloration goes on this one, you can see we have a very interesting, kind of like a greenish tone, a light greenish tone for the body of this Raptor, a very unique coloration for this figure. Maybe not quite the most unique that we've seen this figure in, because I think that would go for the Chaos Effect version, but it would be second place if you ask me. You can see we have another light greenish tone that kind of leads over the top of the head and then stripes through the eye socket and back behind the eye. The eye is an orangish tone, and we have a nice black kind of slit-like pupil there. You've also got more of that green running along the lower jaw here, as well as some black randomly showing up right there. If you look inside the mouth, the teeth are painted with a pretty bright variation of a white, and if you look, you can see the tongue, of course, is sculpted out in there, but painted nicely with a purplish tone. Now, we have actually gone over this sculpt in the past because I did review the original Kenner Velociraptors, so I don't think we really need to touch on the sculpt so much so as we just need to look at the paint apps of this version. And as you move up here into the top of the head, you can see you have more of that light green. However, the light green is kind of surrounded by a black, and that's pretty much what you'll see for a large portion of the figure as you move through. You see that again right here. But then you've got just a black stripe. Then you see more of the green outlined by the black, more of the green outlined by the black, just a black stripe. And then you see almost that same sort of thing continue as you move out through the length of the tail. But as you can see, it's kind of just like inconsistent as far as the way that it's placed. Like it doesn't go, green and black, black, green and black, green and black, black. It's just like all over the place. So there's no real rhyme or reason as far as the way that the patterning occurs, especially because as you lead out here toward the tip of the tail, you can see it's just the black for the last few stripes. As we move back here, you can also see another area of that black that leads down here, as well as a green spot. You can also see more of the black leading down through the course of the leg, and the black actually runs all the way down into the feet, which is pretty cool. The nails are painted with a nice black as well, and they kind of have a little bit of a gloss coat. And I don't know if this Raptor has dew claws. Actually, it does not, which is kind of weird. A little bit surprising. I don't really remember. It's been a while since I had taken a look at this Raptor, especially as far as a review goes. Unfortunately, the claws of the hands are not painted. As you look at the other sides, pretty much the same thing again on both sides. Not really anything different going on from one side to the other, but it is still a super cool looking Velociraptor. As far as articulation and action features and everything goes, it's all the same as the previous Raptor. We have the articulated jaw, but it's the upper jaw that articulates, and that is part of the action feature. The neck also articulates only down and back, forward and back, but that's also part of the action feature, so we'll get to that when we get to the action feature part. The arm does articulate forward and back, that's about as far as it'll go. And then could probably go pretty far up, as you can see. Definitely can. I gotta push it back past the head again. It's getting stuck in that upper jaw. We also have articulation in the legs, forward and back. The articulation doesn't come out away from the body or anything, and then we also have a swivel tail. You can see some screw holes on the underside of the figure, though, something that I actually don't know if I've ever noticed. I'm not sure if the original Kenner releases have those screw holes, or if they were brought on by Hasbro. I'll have to take a look at that here in a moment. But as far as the action feature goes, again, it's the same action feature you had on the original Kenner release, where you squeeze the legs together and you have a chomping action feature, which works really nicely, really smoothly, and also shows off the articulation in the neck. Let me grab the original Kenner release. You can also see the balance is quite nice for these figures. Even having smaller feet like they do, the figures do balance pretty nicely. So here is the original Kenner release of the Velociraptor. And yeah, sure enough, those screw holes are present on the original version as well. I'm surprised they never really realized that, or at least I don't remember that anyway. But as you can very clearly see, the figures are absolutely the same overall. The sculpt does not appear to have been altered in any way, shape, or form. And they even kept the JP stamp on the same side, obviously. A little bit different because this one doesn't look like it has any kind of a number on it. No, I don't remember if the Jurassic Park Dinosaurs line had that going on. You can see the number for the original one, as well as the location for the Raptor, because it does say Site B, whereas this one just has the JP stamp. But I still love that JP stamp. It is super, super iconic. But I don't think we need to do measurements or anything like that, because we've, again, like I said, reviewed these figures in the past as far as the sculpt goes. So no measurements or size comparisons, nothing like that is really needed this time around. So this Jurassic Park Dinosaurs Series 1 Hasbro Velociraptor is pretty cool. You know, overall, I've always been a fan of this figure. I think as far as the coloration of this one goes, it's very appealing looking. It's not my favorite version of it, I can say that for sure. I think the original would be, or even maybe the second version, the Site B version, might be my favorite overall, just because those colorations are very similar to each other, and it's just closer to a Jurassic Park type of a Velociraptor, whereas this one is really out there when it comes to the coloration, but that's not a bad thing. I think the colors do look really cool and really appealing on the figure as a whole. It's just flashier than I expect, and like I said earlier, it's not even the flashiest or craziest version of this sculpt that was released. That would easily go to the Chaos Effect version, which I may review at some point as well, if you guys would like to see that. But the coloration on this is pretty nicely applied. Overall, the paintwork looks cool. It looks nice, especially having coloration from head to tail the whole way through, except for painted fingernails. That's the only thing that we don't have going on, are painted claws on the hands. But outside of that, everything else has pretty much that fully painted look and feel, nicely applied as well. And again, as far as this sculpt goes, like, it screams Jurassic Park. It is as nostalgic as it gets, so that as well gets a massive thumbs up if you ask me. So overall, it's not the greatest Velociraptor in the world, but it is definitely a really cool one. So if you want one, I will try to find a link that I can include in the description to somewhere on eBay that might be selling one, but of course if somebody snags it, then it's gone. So you'll just have to look on eBay. I think that's your best bet if you want to find this one, because clearly you're not going to find it in store. It's long discontinued, but it's definitely worth picking up, especially if you can find it for a decent price. So make sure you do that, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.